Raise your hand if this has ever happened to you. You're scrolling through social media at 2 a.m. and you stumble across a quote that hits you like a ton of bricks. Something so simple, so obvious that you literally say out loud, "Where was this wisdom when I was 25?" I'm willing to bet every single person listening right now has had that moment, that painful realization that you've been doing life the hard way for years, when the answer was right there all along. Well, today I'm going to save you decades of unnecessary struggle. Because here's the thing, the most expensive tax you'll ever pay isn't on your income, your property, or even that overpriced coffee you bought this morning. It's what I call the wisdom tax. Those years you spend learning lessons the hard way that someone else figured out in 5 minutes. Let me tell you about my biggest wisdom tax moment. Picture this. I'm 32 years old, working 80-hour weeks, completely burned out, thinking I'm being productive. Then my 8-year-old nephew asked me, "Uncle, why are you always so busy but never seem happy?" Out of the mouths of babes, right? That one question from a kid made me realize I'd been confusing motion with progress for over a decade. How much time, energy, and sanity could I have saved if I'd learned that distinction earlier? Today, I'm going to share the mental frameworks that took me way too long to discover, but don't have to take you nearly as long to implement. Chapter 1. Your mental operating system needs an update. Think of your brain like your smartphone. When's the last time you updated the operating system? Because most of us are running on mental software from our teenage years, wondering why adult life feels so glitchy. Here's a story that'll make this crystal clear. Two friends of mine both got laid off on the same day from the same company. Sarah immediately panicked. "My career is over. I'm too old to start again. The job market is terrible." Meanwhile, Jake had a completely different reaction. "Finally, I've been wanting to make a career change anyway. This severance package is basically startup capital for my next chapter." Same situation, completely different mental models. Sarah saw scarcity and endings. Jake saw abundance and beginnings. Guess who bounced back faster? Before we go further, I want you to think about this. What's one belief about yourself or your capabilities that you've never questioned? Just let that marinate for a second. The crazy part is, most of us will spend 3 hours researching which Netflix show to binge, but we won't spend 3 minutes examining the thought patterns that literally control our entire experience of life. Here's your first mental model upgrade. Start practicing belief archaeology. Dig up those old assumptions and ask yourself, is this belief helping me or limiting me? And more importantly, is it even true? Chapter 2. Your attention is being hijacked and you're letting it happen. Okay, let's do a quick experiment. How many times have you checked your phone since you started listening to this? Be honest, I'll wait. If it's more than 0, you've just experienced what I call attention hijacking in real time. And here's the kicker. Your phone didn't force you to check it. Your brain did because it's been trained to crave distraction. I used to think I was bad at focusing. Turns out I was just really good at getting distracted. There's a difference, and understanding it changes everything. You know that feeling when you sit down to do something important, and suddenly you remember you need to check if that actor was in that other movie? So you grab your phone real quick, and 2 hours later you're watching TikToks of people making miniature food for hamsters? Yeah, that's not a character flaw. That's your attention being systematically fragmented by systems designed to profit from your distraction. Here's what changed my life. I started treating my attention like my bank account. Every distraction is a withdrawal. Every moment of deep focus is a deposit. When you start thinking about it this way, you realize you've been living in attention poverty while thinking you're rich in information. Try this right now. Pick one thing you're going to completely ignore for the next week. Maybe it's news, maybe it's social media from certain people, maybe it's that podcast that always leaves you angry. Just one thing. Consider it attention decluttering. Chapter 3. You're making decisions like a teenager, even if you're 40. Nobody taught us how to make good decisions. Seriously, think about it. We learn algebra, but not how to choose a life partner. We study photosynthesis, but not how to evaluate career opportunities. It's honestly wild. I made terrible decisions for years because I was using a decision-making process I'd never actually examined. I was basically throwing darts in the dark and hoping for the best. 3 years ago, I was offered two job opportunities on the same day. Old me would have made a pros and cons list, asked everyone I knew for advice, and probably chosen based on which option my mom preferred. Instead, I used what I call the 72-hour rule. For any big decision, I give myself 3 days before committing. Not to overthink it, but to let my initial emotional reaction settle and see what emerges. During those 72 hours, I asked myself three questions. 1. Which choice aligns with who I want to become, not just who I am now? 2. What could go wrong and how would I handle it? 3. If I were advising my best friend, what would I tell them? The clarity that emerged was incredible. And yes, I chose the option my mom definitely would not have preferred. Best decision I ever made. Chapter 4. The gap between knowing and doing. Here's an uncomfortable truth. You already know most of what you need to know to dramatically improve your life. The problem isn't knowledge, it's implementation. We live in the golden age of information, but the stone age of transformation. We can Google the answer to almost anything in seconds, but we're still struggling with the same personal issues our grandparents dealt with. Quick question. How many self-help books have you read? Now, how many of those books actually changed your behavior long-term? If you're like most people, the ratio is pretty depressing. It's not because the advice was bad, it's because reading about push-ups doesn't make you stronger. Only doing push-ups makes you stronger. I used to be a wisdom collector. I'd read everything, listened to every podcast, attend every seminar. I knew all the strategies, but I was implementing none of them. I was like a person who collected gym memberships but never worked out. Here's what changed everything for me. I started focusing on one tiny improvement at a time. Not life overhauls, not dramatic transformations. Just ridiculously small, sustainable changes. Want to read more? Start with 1 page per day. Want to exercise? Start with 1 push-up. Want to meditate? Start with 1 breath. I know it sounds almost insultingly simple, but here's the thing. Compound interest applies to habits too. That 1 page becomes 2, then 5, then a chapter. That 1 push-up becomes 10, then 50. Then you're the person who works out daily. Chapter 5. Stop trying to be disciplined. Do this instead. Discipline is overrated. There, I said it. All those times you beat yourself up for lacking willpower? You were solving the wrong problem. For years, I tried to wake up early through sheer force of will. I'd set 17 alarms, put my phone across the room, go to bed early, all the discipline strategies. And I'd succeed for maybe a week before crashing back into old patterns. Then I realized I was approaching it all wrong. Instead of trying to become more disciplined, I redesigned my environment. I got blackout curtains so I'd sleep better. I put a light therapy lamp on a timer so my room would gradually brighten. I laid out my workout clothes the night before. Suddenly, waking up early wasn't about discipline anymore. It was about following the path of least resistance that I'd deliberately created. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Every single time. Want to eat healthier? Don't rely on willpower at the grocery store. Make healthy choices easier by removing junk food from your house entirely. Want to save money? Set up automatic transfers so saving happens without you thinking about it. The most successful people aren't more disciplined. They're just better at designing systems where success is inevitable. Chapter 6. Why your relationships keep having the same problems. Let's talk about something that's probably causing you more stress than you realize. The expectations you never actually communicated. You're mad at your partner because they didn't do the dishes, but you're not really mad about the dishes, are you? You're mad because in your mind, dishes in the sink means, I don't care about our shared space, or I don't respect your time. Meanwhile, your partner sees dishes and thinks, I'll get to those later, or at least I cooked dinner. Same dishes, completely different stories. And here's the kicker. Neither of you actually said what you meant. Most relationship conflicts aren't about the surface issue. They're about unmet emotional needs that nobody is talking about. The dishes are just the messenger. Once I learned to ask, what am I really upset about here? And then actually communicate that instead of arguing about the surface stuff, my relationships transformed overnight. Chapter 7. You're chasing success backwards. Here's something that might blow your mind. Most people pursue success in ways that virtually guarantee they'll never achieve it. We chase certainty in an uncertain world. We follow other people's blueprints and wonder why we feel unfulfilled. We perfectionism ourselves out of opportunities. I know someone who spent 2 years perfecting their business plan. Beautiful document, detailed projections, professional formatting. Never launched the business because it wasn't ready yet. Meanwhile, their friend started selling a similar service with a one-page description and a basic website. Guess who has a thriving business now? Success isn't about having all the answers before you start. It's about getting started so you can discover what the real questions are. Stop trying to figure everything out in advance. Start before you're ready. Adjust as you go. That's not reckless. That's strategic. Chapter 8. Change your identity, change your life. Here's the difference between people who make lasting changes and people who keep trying and failing. They work at different levels. Most people try to change behaviors. I need to exercise more. I should eat better. I have to wake up earlier. Successful people change identity. I am someone who takes care of my body. I am someone who fuels my body well. I am someone who starts each day intentionally. Notice the difference? One is about doing, the other is about being. I struggled with writing for years until I stopped saying I want to write more and started saying I am a writer. Writers write. It's what they do. Once that became part of my identity, the behavior followed naturally. Chapter 9. Putting it all together. All right, we've covered a lot of ground, but here's what I've learned. Information without implementation is just entertainment. So right now, I want you to pick one insight from everything we've discussed. Just one. The one that made you think, oh man, I need to try that. Don't pick 5 things. Don't try to overhaul your entire life. Pick one thing and commit to implementing it for the next 7 days. Here's your challenge. Before you do anything else today, implement that one insight. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Because here's the truth. 30 years from now, you're going to wish you started today. So why not start today? The wisdom tax is real, but it's optional. You can keep learning everything the hard way, or you can learn from people who've already made the mistakes. The choice is yours. But choose quickly, because every day you wait is another day of paying the wisdom tax. If this resonated with you, I want to hear about it. What's the one thing you're going to implement? Drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one, and I love hearing about your breakthroughs. And hey, if you found value in this, share it with someone who's still paying the wisdom tax. They'll thank you later. Until next time, stop collecting wisdom and start implementing it. Your future self is counting on you.